10-Minute Murder contains depictions of actual crimes. What you are about to hear is real and violent in nature. Discretion is advised. This is 10-Minute Murder.
Welcome to 10-Minute Murder, the brief and bingeable true crime podcast. My name is Joe. I'm the host, and I appreciate you being here today. If you're new to the podcast, thanks for checking it out, and I hope after the episode today you'll consider subscribing or following. When you subscribe, you'll automatically get new episodes. You don't have to go searching a couple of times a week to find out if I've uploaded them. I have, so subscribe and you'll automatically get them. Also, let me invite you to connect with 10-Minute Murder on Facebook and Instagram. Links are in the show notes of this episode, or just simply type it into the search bar and it'll pop right up. On social media, I post visuals that go along with the stories you hear about. I don't post anything that's gross or graphic, but it's enough for you to put a face to the names that you're hearing about and the places that we're talking about. The story today is about a serial killer that murdered at least 15 women and a boy. Except for the boy, he strangled them all to death. He knew something was wrong with himself mentally, and he sought treatment several times. Fantasies of strangling women and sexually assaulting their bodies became nearly constant. These sick thoughts became actions. This is the story of Carroll Cole. Carroll Edward Cole was born in Sioux City, Iowa, the second son of Laverne and Vesta Cole. In 1939, his family moved to California, where Laverne found work in a shipyard. He didn't work there for very long before leaving the family to go fight in the war. World War II. While his father was away fighting Hitler's Nazi army, Carroll's mother was back at home, sleeping with random men all over the place. There's a very formal and scientific term for her. She was a hoe for show. Sometimes she even took Carroll along for her rendezvous, threatening to beat him if he told his father. That is, when his father got back from defending the world from tyranny. Not only was Vesta a skeezy hoe, but she was emotionally abusive to Carroll and dressed him as a girl, which would be fine if that's what he wanted, but he absolutely did not want that. At school, he was already being teased about his girl's name. Bullying at home and bullying at school led to an incident when Carroll was just 8 years old. One of his classmates, named Dwayne, drowned in a lake in Richmond, California. Carroll was there when it happened. Years later, he confessed to intentionally drowning Dwayne. Carroll said, "I was primed, I made the mental commitment that I was going to get even with my mother, and things just built up and became an obsession." From there, Carroll's life didn't take a turn for the better. A murdering 8-year-old became a dirtbag teen thief that often got arrested for many petty crimes and drunkenness. After graduation from high school, he joined the Army, which more times than not straightens people out, gives them some discipline or structure. But it wasn't long before Carroll Cole was kicked out. He was caught stealing pistols and was given a bad conduct discharge. Less than 2 years after being kicked out, Carroll attacked couples at a local lover's lane. He realized he was having some serious mental problems after that, and he called the Richmond police. He told them he was being haunted by these violent fantasies of strangling women. Over the next several years, Carroll spent time in various mental hospitals. The doctor from one of the last hospitals he was a patient in at the time wrote that Carroll seems to be afraid of the female figure and can't have intercourse with her first but must kill her before he can do it. That same doctor approved his release in 1963 and diagnosed him with antisocial personality disorder. Upon his release, Cole moved to Dallas, Texas, where his brother Richard was living. There, he met and married Billy Whitworth, who was an alcoholic stripper. It seems a little funny to me that a man with the name of Carroll, a traditionally female name, married a woman with a traditional male name. I don't know this for a fact, but I'm willing to bet that they discussed this and bonded initially over that very same thing. The marriage did not last long, though, just 2 years, because Carroll burned down a whole motel after convincing himself that Billy was having sex with men there. As a result, he was arrested for arson. Carroll served a little time for that, and when he was released from prison, he attempted to strangle an 11-year-old girl in Missouri. He was arrested and sentenced to 5 years in prison. Once that sentence was up, Carroll ended up in Nevada, where he attempted to strangle 2 more women. Once again, he checked himself into a mental hospital. The doctors there took note of his murderous fantasies that he described, but still decided not to detain him, and he was given a ticket back to San Diego. And back in San Diego is where Carroll Cole started killing women. His first victim as an adult was Essie Buck. Carroll picked her up in a San Diego tavern, May 7th, 1971. He strangled her to death in his car and drove around with her body in the trunk before eventually dumping it. Just 2 weeks later, he killed an unidentified woman and buried her in a wooded area. He later claimed that they had proven themselves unfaithful to their husbands and so reminded him of his adulterous mother. In July 1973, Cole married bartender Diana Faye Paschal, who, like Cole, was an alcoholic. They argued and fought all the time, and Carroll often left on his own for days at a time. He would commit murders while he was away, including one woman who he killed and ate part of. In September 1979, Cole strangled his wife to death. A suspicious neighbor called the police 8 days later, but although they found Paschal's body wrapped in a blanket and stuffed in a closet, they decided that she had died because of her heavy drinking, and Carroll was released without charge after questioning. He then left San Diego and started moving around again. In 1979, Carroll met Marie Cushman at a bar in Las Vegas. That same evening, the two went to a motel where they had sex, and he killed her by strangulation. Following the Las Vegas killing, he returned to Dallas, where he fatally strangled 3 more women in November 1980. Cole was a suspect in the second of those 3 and was found on the scene of the 3rd murder. He was arrested and held in custody. The police came to the conclusion that the victim had probably died of natural causes, and Cole was just about to be ruled out as a suspect before he confessed. Not only did he confess to that murder, but he confessed to all the murders. Carroll claimed that he had murdered at least 14 women over the previous 9 years, although he added that there may be more because he couldn't remember exactly, as he was usually drunk when he committed these crimes. On April 9th, 1981, Cole was convicted of 3 of the murders committed in Texas. He was sentenced to life in the Huntsville prison. In 1984, Cole's mother died, and his attitude was reported to have changed. He agreed to plead to further murder charges filed in Nevada, even though it could possibly mean the death penalty. In February 1984, Cole was extradited to Nevada, where he was tried and convicted for the strangulation deaths of 2 women in the late 70s. In October 1984, Carroll Cole was sentenced to death in Nevada. When his sentencing was passed, he said, "Thanks, Judge." An anti-death penalty campaign, including the ACLU, tried to have his death sentence commuted, but he protested. Carroll Cole was executed by lethal injection at the Nevada State Prison, December 6, 1985. A few days before that, he gave one final interview.
What about the stress? Is it changing? Is it getting harder? Is it getting easier? What's it like?
Well, it's been getting harder.
Has it?
Yeah, since Friday night actually. But really, the last couple of days been real emotionally. Not mentally draining, not emotionally draining. Just feel tired and everything like that. Exhausting.
Time going by quicker, slower?
Fast.
Fast.
Mm-hmm.
Has that made you change your mind in any way?
No.
Has it once ever occurred to you to delay this?
It's always occurred, but
why not fight for your life?
I just don't care to.
Are you sorry?
For the victim?
Yes.
Yes.
Are you?
Mm.
Anyone in particular?
Especially the one that was the 11-year-old girl way back in 1967, and even doing that 5-year sentence, it wasn't enough. But it affected me, just also because I not suffered, but I thought about it and condemned myself for many years, because I can just imagine what her life might have been like.
What was the little girl's name again?
Riverton.
What about the religious aspect of it, Ed?
Like I told you before, that's kind of personal.
But it's there.
Mm-hmm.
When you think about this execution, are you afraid that there might be some pain involved? After all, we don't really know. This is the first time that the state has carried out this type of execution.
If I said if I wasn't concerned about that, I'd be lying. Because everybody wants to go the, easiest, most comfortable way.
Does that enter your mind, though, that you might?
It has entered my mind, yeah. They might, something might go wrong, or be some kind of suffering. But that has not altered my decision.
Do you deserve to die?
I can't answer that question.
No, it's the ultimate question. It is the question.
For what I did, yes, I think I deserve to die.
That's today's 10 Minute Murder, the brief and bingeable true crime podcast. Thank you for listening today. And if you have a story you'd like for me to possibly cover here on this podcast, you can email it to me, 10minutemurder@gmail.com. You can connect with 10 Minute Murder on social media. Just click the link in the show notes of this episode, or it's even easier if you just go to Facebook or Instagram and type in 10 Minute Murder, and it'll pop right up. Before you go, subscribe to this podcast wherever you are listening right now, and you will never miss another episode. If you have friends that are into brief true crime stories like this, tell them about 10 Minute Murder. Thanks for listening. Have a good night.